How do we find happiness? Everyone's looking for happiness. What is it? The American dream, the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's sort of the American dream, isn't it? The pursuit of happiness. Something which we all apparently are entitled to do, to pursue happiness in our own lives, to look for the things that will give us satisfaction and which will bring us all the benefits that we are looking for. Happiness. And I think it's interesting where a lot of people go for happiness, because different people go for different things. Some people go for career. Now, I'm going to plough my energy into career to make myself happy. I'm going to work hard until I get to the top, till I get to the point at which my career will give me satisfaction. Other people look to money. I'm going to work as hard as I can and get as much money as I can. I'm going to invest. I'm going to build. I'm going to get as much money as I can. Some people look to possessions and to things. People who want to just keep buying more stuff. I want a new house. I want a bigger car, a faster car, more this, more that. That will make me happy in the end. And some people look to relationships and to family. I'm going to find a wife who's going to make me happy, or a husband, my children, and so on. And there are all sorts of things that we look to for happiness. But do any of those really work? And just last week, I was reading an interview with the actor Anthony Hopkins, and he's 79 now. But he's been at the top, of course, of the acting pile for a while. He's been at the top of the game. But he said this, I meet young people and they want to act and they want to be famous. And I tell them, when you get to the top of the tree, there's nothing up there. Most of this is nonsense. Most of this is a lie. I think that's interesting, isn't it? Someone who's worked hard and got to the top saying, most of this is nonsense. Most of this is a lie. And I think that's the truth, isn't it? For people who do get to the top, that actually they realise the emptiness of being there. Now, why is it that tennis players, for example, tennis players who win Wimbledon come back again the next year? Because winning it once is not enough. They need to win it again. Now, why is it that people who want money just want more money? That people who have power want more power. People who have success want more success. We want more. And that's the thing, because we know that the things that we put our time, money and energy and all that to make us happy, all of those things don't really make us happy in the long run. We recognise that. Possessions, you can never have enough possessions to make you happy. You can never have, your family will never make you happy. There'll always be flaws and so on. That we're looking for happiness, but we're looking in all the wrong places. Now, what does the Bible have to say about happiness? And I think this is where the Bible really, again, makes sense of our experience as human beings. Because it explains why we look for happiness in these different places, but we can never find it. What the Bible says is that we were made to love God and to love our neighbour. We're meant to love God and to love others. In a nutshell, that's what Jesus says the two most important commandments are. The problem is, of course, that we don't. We live our lives without reference to God, and very often we live our lives just for ourselves. We think about what's going to make me happy. We think about our own possessions, our own career, our own money, our own families and all these sorts of things as things to make me happy and to make me fulfilled, rather than as things which we can give to and give love to. They're there to make me happy. And I think that's the big thing, isn't it? Which means that we are not happy because we're not living our lives as God intended. And particularly, there's a saying which I'm not sure I entirely like, but I think it does illustrate the point that everyone has a God-shaped hole. And that's the thing, isn't it? That we are made as worshipping creatures. We are made to worship. And what happens is when we stop worshipping God, we don't worship nothing. We worship other things like money or family or whatever. We try to fill the void of God that God makes in our lives and put something else there, but nothing else will fit. Nothing else will go, and nothing else will replace God. The other things are very poor substitute gods. And that is, I think, that how we often seek for happiness in the wrong places, but we don't find it. By contrast, the Bible has a lot to say about the joy and the happiness that comes from knowing God. The Psalms have got a lot to say about this. Now, the Psalms are full of really how we respond to God, sort of emotions, and that level of how we relate to God. And I'd just like to read you Psalm 100. Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyful songs. Know that the Lord is God. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name. For the Lord is good, and his love endures forever. His faithfulness continues through all generations. And I think this is the thing, isn't it? That you hear the words of that short psalm and you think, give thanks to the Lord, joyfully enter his gates with thanksgiving, with praise. And think, how is that? That's so different, isn't it, to the way that we think about almost anything else. That it's relating to God, knowing that he is our shepherd, our king. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. And it is knowing God which ultimately we get our joy from. I think there is a difference as well between joy and happiness. I often think happiness is the temporary emotional state where you feel happy for a little while. But joy is something much deeper, which can't be touched by our external circumstances. The joy is sort of the peace and contentment and all of that which comes from knowing God, knowing that we have peace with him, and knowing that we are walking with him and that he is looking after us in every circumstance. So I think if you want to have true happiness, then don't look to things or don't look to people. At the end of the day, look to God and look to serving him and obeying him in all of our lives. That is what brings true happiness. And that's what I want to commend to you today. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you want to find out more about the Christian faith, I realise that I've only just barely scratched the surface in this. If you want to find out more about the Christian faith, then I've got a little series I'm doing on something called the New City Catechism, and that's a great way of introducing you to the Christian faith and going through it in sort of a more systematic way. If you like this video, please do click the like button, please do hit subscribe, and I hope to see you again for another video very soon. Thank you very much for watching, and God bless.